Today's commentary are polar opposites, and one answers the other. Even though one of them seems like it shouldn't be an answer. It's mostly a question. I did 2 videos. I'm going to describe what they're about as quickly as I can. One of them is on, I'm going to call it the second most mysterious song on the internet. It's called Everyone Knows That, or Ulterior Motives. The claim by its originator, at least uploading it, Carl92, was that it was found on a DVD from the 1990s. The DVD burned in the 1990s, contained a file, and he had recorded it using a PC microphone, and it had, well, you have to look up ulterior motives, everyone knows that, and you'll listen to it, and that's all there is to it. Trying to figure out what year it's from and who made it. Again, a mysterious song. And I pointed out that on Reddit, you could look up this song, and people are noting that it has a continuous high-frequency noise in it, a peak on the graph, way up in the high-frequency end. And they decided it had to be an MTS pilot signal. It's called a pilot signal if you do it another way. When TV sets broadcast video, it's broadcast as a variation in how intense the signal is for the video. For the audio, they make it a continuous broadcast signal at a specific level, and they move the frequency up and down the frequency band. That's called frequency modulation. That's exactly the same way the FM band sends music signals. And also, just like the FM band, it can be stereo. And it's a very similar system, but one of the methods for sending a stereo broadcast, instead of just making it a stereo transmission and using that bias frequency that it uses and doing exactly the same thing, to make it to where it's differentiated, TV broadcasts can be sent in MTS. MTS, which I'm not going to talk about it much, uses a bias frequency of 15,734 cycles per second, and it's included in the audio. So everyone on Reddit assumed this has to be from after a certain date when stereo broadcasts were actually done, and then a certain date when they stopped being done. That makes sense. Except 15,734 cycles per second was used for stereo broadcasts on TV for a second reason, because it's found in every single TV set made since 1940s. Virtually every TV set, what we call conventional NTSC, which makes it ridiculously old. From the first black and white TV set to the last tube-based TV set made and used in anybody's house, which may be today, every one of these TV sets used the same frequency to run a high-voltage transformer in it called a flyback transformer. Also coinkedinkly, not so coinkedinkly, as a bias frequency for driving how fast the line is drawn from one side of the screen to the next. The screen's drawing from the top to the bottom is 60 cycles per second or 30 cycles per second, depending on how you want to call a screen. I'm not going to go into details, but it draws from the top down slower because things in a scene falling from eye level down to foot level don't travel very quickly. But a person walking can create a chuttering effect if you don't do a very fast scan as you go down. And it still makes a mistake or two when you look at it in freeze frame of video. So it draws a line on the screen in 1/15,000th of a second. The reason it did that is they would synchronize one part of the signal, 60 cycles a second, to the power line in the North American area, 50 cycles in other countries. And they would draw the 15,000 cycles per second across the screen based on it being a multiple of a certain number of lines times 60. That's all there is to it. And since they were going to need to use that for the coils that drove that beam across the screen, they decided to just use that frequency as the best frequency engineered for the high voltage transformer. Now, once we started using computer monitors, those transformers are sitting around. They're extremely high efficiency, or at least as high efficiency as you can get, and you can just get a bigger one or a smaller one depending on how big the monitor is. When people wanted really big monitors to do detailed work with very high resolution to them, they would just repurpose some of the parts from TV sets. So every computer monitor for many, many years just used the same flyback frequency transformer. That's why it's called the flyback frequency. And when TV sets went stereo, they just fed part of that noise signal through to indicate a stereo broadcast. But if you're recording with a microphone on a computer that might have a monitor that's just making this noise, that would be impressed on the audio very easily. Electret condenser microphones, like they had, the little ones on a stick that I used in the icon for the video, were very common and could pick up 20 kHz, so they could easily pick up 15. They'd also pick up the high frequency bias from an FM radio station if it didn't filter it out. So the most likely scenario isn't a stereo broadcast with a very limited time range. It's that someone had a TV set on in the room at one time, or just a computer monitor. Providing information on when people repurposed parts to make monitors isn't relevant, because people have been using TV sets as monitors for a very long time too. Carl, 92, hasn't gotten back to anybody on what kind of monitor he's using, and Reddit essentially ignored me posting that it could just be any old monitor by deleting my comment, of course. So why did I do that video? Because somebody on the net was wrong. No, because people on the net found something neat that I could confirm independently, but they only looked at one possibility, using that to limit the time range, when in fact it unlimits the hell out of it. Over 60 years instead of 16? So I did that video. Now the other video that's being commented on here is the movie John Wick. One of his iterations includes them talking about using 12-gauge steel slugs to be armor piercing, and a specific set of criteria for a firearm and a cartridge called 9mm Major. It had 1,400 foot-pounds, 560 foot-pounds, 1,400 feet per second, and it was a 125 grain projectile. And it was fired from a 2011 Combat Master handgun. It's a 1911 act-alike called the 2011, and it fires, you would assume, would be 45 ACP cartridges, because that's what would be in a 1911. But this one fires 9mm, and it's called 9mm Major. And I explained what the basis for calling it Major versus Other. And it has more to do with the recoil factor. And the firearm itself could be highly compensated by being made not like a plastic Glock, but being made out of real metal, and putting a couple of ports on it. And some other things I talked about, including the 12-gauge steel slug being more of a meme on YouTube. And I'm fairly sure that the people who wrote the movie, or the book, or actually the screenplay, excuse me, probably referenced a specific YouTuber named Mastapool, who probably did a video about it that got taken down a while ago. And I didn't go into details like copper tape required, but other than that, it's an interesting story. Also recently, another YouTuber has reproduced the same results and has not, he forgot the copper tape. What are you doing, dude? Got to fix that. Got to get those numbers up, dude. All right. Anyway, but this whole thing, I put it under John Wick cosplay info, because how to make fake 12-gauge steel slug cartridges to put into your Nerf gun, and also that you can get a 1911 knockoff-looking toy gun and just relabel it, and I gave information about that, although that's in the link that you have to look up that's a picture. Anyway, the point is, these are the responses I got about John Wick firearms, which you can just look up on the Internet Movie Firearms Database, and about 5 other sources which I linked to, and the other one about every TV set on the planet could have made that noise in the second most mysterious song on the internet. So it's a don't even look it up anymore. The only thing that happened is the guy used the kind of microphone that would pick that noisy shit up. So I get 2 comments. Why do you go into detail for everything? And the answer to that is because nobody else did. Because the information's important. Because people make mistakes without details. People go into details and miss a point that, no, it doesn't limit it to 16 years. It's like 60 years almost. Not really, but you get the idea. And also, these were requests. So yeah, why do I go into detail for everything? Because somebody couldn't find it on the internet, and I can. I just look up 5 or 6 sources, or 80 in one case. Really? It took 80 to look it up? The easiest one to look up was the John Wick one, because you could, but people can't find it because I don't know why. And the other comment I get, I was looking everywhere for an explanation of this. I read a lot of posts and they said it was all fictional or wrong or missed the point or didn't answer my questions. Thank you for the excellently detailed explanation. Why do you keep going to details for everything? Because people are looking for the details. Because people are willing to sit through a 15-minute video to learn something. Because doing a short synopsis like this for 2 videos doesn't cover enough. I'll cut and paste all of the links for both videos into this one, but the reason I do it is because other people don't, and I get requests for it. And more importantly, every video I do just about, even if I don't get a request, but I like it when I do, is because I couldn't find the information, and I know if I can't find it, someone else is looking for it. I don't assume I'm the only one looking up, why did they call it 9mm major? Or why did they call a steel slug armor piercing? Well, that's kind of obvious, but where did they get the idea from? Mastapool, the YouTube channel. And why is it people are fixating on a flyback frequency everybody's heard? Even I forgot all about that because I'm like, wait a minute, that number is really familiar. Like I've typed it in a million times to solve some problem on a computer. Yes, the tick time on a lot of computers used to be the flyback frequency. That number shows up everywhere. It even shows up as a sampling rate on purpose to make it harder for you to hear it in a recording so that you don't have to filter it out. It's also used actively to filter that noise, including on computers. Most audio software filters that noise. It's that prevalent. From the year 2000 backwards, almost every audio recording has it. So it's a dead end. It's not even a rabbit hole. It's a cesspit. But there's your answer. The reason I go into detail is because people asked me to, or I had to go into detail to find it, or it was a question I couldn't find a decent answer for, so I posted it. No problem should have to be solved twice, unless it's fun. Or unless you want to go through to make sure you're double-checking somebody. So I'll include all the links from both videos in here, and honestly, that's it. And yeah, the one giving me essentially a compliment was about the John Wick movie, and the other person, sounding almost like he's a little upset, was about ulterior motives. Everyone knows that. The second most mysterious song on the internet that nobody's been able to track down. If we're tracking down the second most mysterious song on the internet, don't you think we'd have to do details? I'm sure neither of these people are being negative. I'm just playing up the, why do you keep doing it? I'm sure this person's just asking. But still, it's a good question, and it's also a common question. Next, if anybody's curious, nobody cares. Why do you do a video this way? The way I do this video makes it to where my computer has a really hard time crashing making recordings because it's almost a black and white image with just my face, and it can compress it much, much smaller by doing compression on the fly if I just don't have anything in the background. Also, it hides the fact that I'm insanely bald. Ish. Baldman. So, thanks for your questions. Here are your answers. And I'm sure I'm not just answering questions for people. I'm pretty sure these are people who are asking legitimate questions and not insinuating something. But still, the reason I do this, again, is I'm asked to, or it's something I couldn't find, and I figure if I'm looking for it and I'm curious about something and I can't find anybody else doing it, maybe I should upload a video. In fact, my entire channel's that. And last, one of my videos went viral. It's not my video. I copied it from someone else because everyone else who uploaded it chopped it up and edited it. One of my biggest complaints is, if you're going to upload an incident, don't edit it. Don't add anything to it. You're not adding to anything. And it got a lot of views. Only because I did nothing to it. Like I said, if you see an incident, I don't care what it is, just upload the raw video and shut the hell up and get out of everybody's way. Don't put up a please rate and subscribe and add dubstep to it. Just upload the damn video. And the next thing is, the person who originally did the video, I still can't find their link on social media. And every news source refused to give them credit for the first 48 hours. That pissed me off. And they talk over it. That made me even more angry. Then they put it behind a paywall, profiteering. So my little video took away a little bit of money from CNN and the New York Times website. I still haven't gotten flagged yet. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Oh, and by the way, when I look up what my videos are doing, I just do it making sure I haven't lost my channel yet. The page views don't matter, really. But it is kind of cool that I did something that other people found useful. Again, why do I do this stuff? Because I hope it's useful to you.